Most people aren't disconnected because they're broken. They're disconnected because at some point being fully here felt either overwhelming, unsafe, or too much to hold. So they didn't lose presence, they just learned to leave it. Welcome, beautiful souls. Today we're going to chat about presence. How do we interrupt our own patterns to become more present and to find joy in the moment? You don't need a better life to feel better. You don't need the capacity to be inside the life you already have because most people aren't living their lives, right? They're we tend to brace for what might happen. Often find yourself replaying things of what already happened or what you already did, or distracting yourself from what you feel. And in all of this, we miss the only place life is actually happening. Now, joy isn't in the future. It's not waiting for things to calm down. It's not on the other side of healing. It exists. In moments, your system is able to be available enough to notice it. And that requires presence. This word presence that always gets thrown around. Because we find our day-to-day lives just in to take over, right? But it's important to acknowledge that joy is not something that you build. It's something you register, right? It's a shift, it's softness, it's a moment that lands. But here's the problem is that most people are just never fully here long enough for anything to land. The attention is split between what just happened, what might happen, and what you should actually be doing differently, which means that even when something good is happening, it doesn't fully reach you. It doesn't fully reach home. Now, joy requires something most people were never taught, and it's internal availability. So, what is that? It's the ability to be here without immediately analyzing it or guarding against it or leaving it. It's the ability just to be in the moment without the extra noise. And it's presence that creates that space. Often this can be termed as disassociation. Disassociation isn't always dramatic. It doesn't always look like checking out, right? Complete switch off, like robot mode. Sometimes it looks highly functional. It looks like overthinking instead of feeling anything. It looks like staying constantly busy so you don't have to slow down. Scrolling, not because you enjoy it, but because you don't want to be where you are. Feeling slightly detached, even in moments that should matter. It's not full disconnection, it's partial absence. Just enough distance to not feel too much. And here's the most part that people miss. The pattern didn't start as a flaw. It started as intelligence. It was a choice that was made. Because at some point your system registered that being fully present here is too overwhelming. Let me do something that allows me to not be fully here. And you adapted to that. It helped soften your connection to the moment, right? And it wasn't something that we did to sabotage your life, but it helped you survive. The problem is what protected you then now prevents you from experiencing what actually safe. You're not bad at being present. You're distracted. You're not too much in your head. You were just never taught how to feel safe enough to stay after learning how to be distracted. So how do we return to this presence? Upfront, it's not something that you force. You don't just snap into it and then it happens. You literally have to start building your tolerance to it in small, almost unnoticeable ways, not as a performance, but as a return. So try this. Notice your breath, not to control it, just to feel it move, right? The deep ins and the releases. Feel where your body is supported. So whether you're sitting on a chair, on the floor, on the ground, pause before responding. So even if it's just by 1 second, let your eyes rest on something without naming or analyzing it. Just a sensation without needing it to change. These are not techniques to fix you. They are just ways to gently tell your system that it's safe enough to be here in the right now. And at first, it might not feel safe. And that's important because presence isn't always peaceful in the beginning, right? Sometimes presence, it's where you finally feel the tension, the restlessness, the emotion that you've been outpacing, and you name it and you acknowledge it. That's not failure. That's arrival. That is awareness. Most people relate to that awareness to something that you need to manage. You need to control, you need to predict it, you need to stay one step ahead of it in order to be able to handle it. It's a constant state of defense, 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 right? A constant state of brace. But presence introduces a different possibility. That moment you stop, you don't have to meet life with strategy or with control. And you're allowed to meet it where you are, not prepared, not armored, not already interpreting everything before it happens, just being available. Because something shifts when you stop the control, when you stop trying to brace. You begin to experience moments just as they are, instead of threats, problems, and things to optimize. And it's in that space that connection to self becomes easier and to others. Joy starts becoming visible, and even neutral moments begin to feel fuller because you're not always anticipating other people's needs. You're focusing on who you are and where you are. Presence doesn't make life perfect, but it does make it accessible. And the more often you practice the presence and being in the moment, the softer the edges become. So in closing, guys, joy isn't something you find in a different life. It's something you notice when you finally stop leaving the one that you're in. Remember, you don't need to escape your life to feel better. Just pause for a moment. Feel where you are. Let yourself arrive. Even if it's messy, distracted, incomplete, presence is about coming back, one moment at a time. Until next time, beautiful souls.